إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإن تعدوا نعمة الله لا تحصوها إن الله لغفور رحيم. Dear brothers and sisters, we begin by praising Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send peace and blessings upon the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon his companions, and upon all those who have treaded in their footsteps of righteousness and piety. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah allow us to be true followers and believers in the Quran and in the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With that being said, I'd like to start off by mentioning something which Ali radiallahu anhu said. We all know Ali radiallahu anhu was the son-in-law of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was also the fourth Khalifa of our deen. And Ali radiallahu anhu was someone people considered to be very wise. So Ali radiallahu anhu, he said that inna ni'ma masulatun bishukr, that blessings lead a person to be thankful, to gratitude. Wa shukru yata'allaqu bil mazid. And when a person is thankful, when a person expresses their gratitude, what happens is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase them in that good. وَهُمَا مَقْرُونَانْ فِي قَرْنٍ. And he goes on to say that both of these are interconnected, meaning being thankful, having gratitude is directly connected and dependent on actually being thankful is connected to having an increase. So what he says is, to understand this, he says that an increase will never stop from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until a person stops thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What we learn from Ali radiallahu anhu over here is that when a person begins to stop thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when a person no longer thanks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when a person no longer is grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the blessings that they enjoy, that's when they will begin to see that their blessings will start to come down, will start decreasing. On the other hand, when a person begins to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when a person begins to become more grateful, then they will automatically see goodness, and they'll automatically see goodness and more blessings coming into their lives. So this is what Ali radiallahu anhu says. He says, فَلَنْ يَنْقَطِعَ الْمَزِيدِ مِنَ اللَّهِ حَتَّى يَنْقَطِعَ الشُّكْرُ مِنَ الْعَبْدِ. He says that Allah will never stop increasing a person's blessings and good until a person starts off by being ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Each one of us is blessed in one way or another. All of us have some sort of blessings. Some of us have more blessings than others, but at the end of the day, each and every single one of us, every single individual has blessings which they are indebted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. And until a person does not realize that they have blessings in their lives, until a person does not realize that they are blessed and that Allah is continuously blessing them with different bounties over and over again, a person will never begin to be grateful. In order for a person to be grateful, they need to first and foremost understand that there is something to be grateful for. You don't just walk around and say thank you. If you go up to a complete stranger and you say thank you to that person, the person's going to look at you. They're going to say, what's going on? Why are you thanking me? Right? There's no reason. On the other hand, right, what we understand is that if a person does not realize that they have to thank someone, then they'll never thank them. If a person does something good for you, but you don't realize that that person just helped you out, you won't thank them, right? Likewise, a person can never thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if the person does not realize that they have received gift after gift after gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the starting point of being grateful, the beginning of gratitude, is through the realization that there is something to be grateful for. A person can only thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they realize that there is something to be thankful for. And we'll get to, and at the end of today's khutbah, we'll discuss and go over some steps and practical methods on how we can become more grateful. But for the time being, we'll continue on with what exactly is gratitude and what's the opposite of gratitude. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He says, وَإِن تَعُدُّ نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. That if a person tries to enumerate and count the blessings which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed them with, لَا تُحْصُوهَا, that person will never be able to fully count or enumerate. A person can continue to go and go and go and count how many blessings they have in their lives, right? They can say, oh, I'm living, that's a blessing. I have a family, that's a blessing. I have parents, that's a blessing. I have a spouse, I have children, I have wealth, I have health, I have food. They can continue to go on and on and on. At one point or another, there's going to be different levels. At some point or another, they'll stop counting. They won't be able to count anymore. Right? They'll say, well, we've pretty much figured out everything that Allah has blessed us with. And then there's a second level of that. The second level is where there are blessings which a person doesn't even know about. Right? Because there's things that that are going on, and we don't really realize it. You know, they say we take for granted until we lose something. You don't know what you had until you lose it. Sometimes we have different blessings in our lives that we take it for granted. We don't even realize that it's there, and we don't even think of it until we lose that blessing, and then it hits us that, wow, subhanallah, we were enjoying this blessing right up until it was taken away from us. We didn't even realize that blessing was there. So that's the second level of blessings, where Allah blesses us with things that we're not even aware of. And then sometime in our lives they're taken away, and then we realize that there was a blessing and now it's missing. And then the last level of blessing is the fact that we are able to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? One of the blessings of gratitude is the fact that a person can realize that they have to be grateful. Right? Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayhi, he mentions this very beautifully. He says, وَشَاكِرُهَا يَحْتَاجُ شُكْرًا لِشُكْرِهَا كَذَلِكَ شُكْرُ الشُّكْرِ يَحْتَاجُ لِشُكْرِ. He says that the act of being grateful is in itself a blessing for which one needs to be grateful for. If a person has the ability to be grateful, if a person has the ability to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that in itself is a blessing. And that's the highest form of blessing that a person can ever think of. Because if a person, as we mentioned, doesn't realize that they have anything to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for, if a person is always thinking that I have nothing to be grateful about, I have no blessings in my life is horrible, I have nothing to look forward to, that person is in a negative state of mind. That person has no hope in life. That person has no motivation or push or drive to do anything. Because the person has no self-esteem. The person looks at himself and he says, I'm nothing. I don't have anything. I don't have anything positive. I don't have anything good in my life. I'm a miserable person. And we see people that are like that in our communities, in our societies. And eventually what ends up happening to many of these people is they end up committing suicide. Because they have nothing to look forward to. Whereas the person who is able to look at the positive aspects of their lives, where they're able to see the blessings which they have in their lives and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be grateful for those things, you see those people are much more positive. You see those people are the people that we like to be around. Why? Because they make us positive as well. And we see those are the people in life that usually don't give up. They're motivated. They're always moving forward. Why? Because they understand that there's so many blessings, there's so many opportunities. Let's move forward. So when a person is in that state of mind where they can realize that they are blessed and there's so many things to be grateful for, that in itself is a blessing. And this is what Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayhi is saying, and this is the third level of blessing, where a person realizes and understands that there's something to be grateful about. When a person realizes that they are drowning in the mercy and blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what exactly, or how exactly do we show our gratitude and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What exactly is gratitude? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He says, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ. That if you remember me, then I will remember you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying this. That if we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah will remember us. Obviously we know that Allah never forgets. And Allah has full knowledge of everything. What this ayah is saying is that if we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, during times of difficulty we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah will remember us and elevate our status. And then the ayah goes on to say, وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ. That thank me, be grateful to me, وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ, and do not disobey, do not disbelieve. So what we're seeing over here is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is defining to us what the definition and meaning of gratitude is, and the exact opposite of it. That the opposite of being thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the highest level of ingratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? That is the highest level of ingratitude, where a person does not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's where these atheists fall. And if you want to know something interesting about atheists, even they have a concept of being grateful, of showing gratitude, right? They say that, and this is well documented and well researched by psychologists, that when a person expresses gratitude and when a person is thankful, then it means that they are able to realize the blessings they have in their lives, and therefore they live a much more positive lifestyle. And obviously atheists, they don't believe in a God, right? So what do they say? They are thankful. They say they have to be thankful and they have to express their gratitude to whatever it is, right? But not to a God, because for them a God doesn't exist. But going back, the highest level of ingratitude is to reject Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then one level beyond, under it, is to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where a person is blessed with so many different things, and outright they just disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They just say, they completely forget about the fact that every single blessing they have is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And then they become arrogant. And we just spoke about arrogance and humility last week and then the week before as well. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dislikes. In fact, we're going to use the word hate, a very, very strong word. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates people who are arrogant. Because as we mentioned last week, arrogance leads to so many different things. But one of the things that it leads to is that it makes a person forget about the blessings which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed them with. Instead, the person thinks everything I have, all the good that I have is from myself. So the highest level of ingratitude is to reject Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then one level under it is to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and completely neglect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from a person's life. So what exactly is gratitude now? We know the opposite of it. What is gratitude? When we look at the Quran, when we look at the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we come to the conclusion that being thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to express our gratitude, there's three levels of it. The first level is understanding and realizing that there is something to be grateful about. It starts off with the heart. It starts off with our mind. It's something internal. That we realize that there's blessings. We realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us many, many gifts. That's the first level of gratitude. The second level of gratitude is to actually express those feelings and those sentiments verbally. To say those things that, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thank you for my life. Thank you for my wealth. Thank you for etc., etc., etc. Right, so that's the second level of gratitude. And then the last level of gratitude, and keep in mind that in order for gratitude to be complete, all these stages need to be there, right? Each one of these stages are interdependent on the other. And the last level of gratitude is where a person obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? This is the last and final level of gratitude, where it's in their heart. They understand that Allah has blessed them, where they are now thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're verbalizing it. And finally, that they are living their lives according to how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to live their lives. That is the highest and complete form of gratitude, where a person's every action and every decision in life is in accordance to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from them. One thing that we'll mention about the importance of gratitude, that how important it is to be grateful. We recall the incident of shaitan. In Surah Al-A'raf, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala narrates to us the incident between shaitan and Adam alayhi salam, and eventually how shaitan became the most wretched individual, right? From being one of the highest ranking jinn, from being one of the closest creation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shaitan became one of the most despised. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala narrates the story to us in Surah Al-A'raf. And shaitan, he makes his promise. First, again, going back to arrogance. If everyone can move up, please. It goes back to shaitan being arrogant, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands shaitan and all the angels to prostrate and make sajda to Adam alayhi salam. And shaitan does not prostrate, make sajda to Adam alayhi salam. Why? He says, because he's better. Ana khayrun min. That I am better than Adam. Why? Because khalaqtani min nar wa khalaqtahu min tin. That you created Adam alayhi salam from dirt, from clay, and you created me from fire. I'm better than Adam alayhi salam. So what completely denigrated shaitan's reputation was his arrogance. And then on top of that, shaitan went on to say, فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي. Right? He's not taking any responsibility for his arrogance. Rather, he's throwing the blame on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he's blaming Adam alayhi salam. Right? I'm in this position because of you guys. Right? So he makes this promise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ. He says that I have made it, he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him life all the way till the end of time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his infinite wisdom accepts shaitan's wish, accepts shaitan's dua. And he says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala outright, right? He says that I'm making my life mission to attack and misguide the human beings, right? So understand it, that shaitan, he believes that the reason why Allah despises him is because of Adam alayhi salam. Whereas in reality we know it was because of the arrogance of shaitan. But now in order to get back to Adam alayhi salam, he says, ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ. That I will attack mankind, I will attack human beings, I will attack the progeny of Adam alayhi salam from the front, right? وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ, and from the back. وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ, and from all sides, all directions, from the right and the left. Meaning shaitan will not leave any stone unturned when it comes to misguiding and misleading the children of Adam alayhi salam. He says, and then finally, and this is where we want to focus on, that this is shaitan's master plan. He says, وَلَا تَجِدُوا أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. And he says, I will make it my mission that majority of the humans, وَلَا تَجِدُوا أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ, that I will misguide them and mislead them so that these human beings will not be thankful. Right? He could have used any other word. Right? He could have said, وَلَا تَجِدُوا أَكْثَرَهُمْ عَابِدِينَ. That's so that these people will not worship you. Right? Rather he says, وَلَا تَجِدُوا أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ, so that these people that you love so much will not be grateful to you. And as we mentioned, that gratitude includes obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? When a person is grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when a person is thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then automatically they are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is Shaitan's mission in life. This is his master plan. What can he do to make us people who are ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What can he do to make us people who completely neglect the blessings and the gifts which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, and instead we focus on all the bad things, and we lose hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we begin to tell ourselves, why do we even worship Allah? Why do we even focus? Why do we even obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? There's nothing good for us. This is the master plan of Shaitan. And what we learn from this, what we understand from this, is how important it is to be people of gratitude, to be thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly. Because in order to thank Allah, we need to first and foremost realize that we have been blessed in so many different ways, that there's so many things that we can thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. Now there's two types of people. There's one type of person who is known as a shakir, the one who's thankful. And this person is thankful in times of easiness. When things are going good, when things are easy, this person is thankful. They remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Everything's good. We're going to pray now. We're going to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're going to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because everything's good. And then you have the second type of person, who's known as ash-shakur, who's one level beyond it. This person is always thankful and grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during times of easiness, whether it be in times of easiness or difficulty. Even if a person is going through difficulty and hardship and crisis, whatever it may be, this person still remains someone who is continuously thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over and over again. So our objective in life is to go from people, is to first and foremost become a shakir, a person who is thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then our goal should be to get from that level to the next level, which means that even in times of difficulty, we're able to see through these difficulties, that we're able to see past these obstacles and remain thankful and grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the different blessings which Allah is still blessing us with. Because there may be one very, very difficult issue in our lives, but there's still 1,000 other blessings which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is blessing us with continuously, right? And this also leads us to another point, which is that both of these names, Ash-Shakir and Shakur, or both of these descriptions, have been used by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to describe Himself in the Quran. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions Shakirun Alim, referring to Himself as someone who is great, referring to Himself and using this adjective or description as Shakir. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also uses this word Ash-Shakur to describe Himself as well. Now, how does that relate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And we know that Ash-Shakur is also one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How do we understand this? In order to understand it, first and foremost is that these characteristics or these traits or descriptions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are nothing like our descriptions or our characteristics, right? This, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it very clearly, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ, that there's nothing similar or close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So we shouldn't have this conception that the way we're thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the way Allah is thankful to us. That's not what it means. Rather, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes Himself as Ash-Shakur, or when we think of the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Ash-Shakur, what we need to understand is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is appreciative and grateful of our worship by rewarding us, right? Understand that, even to use this word that Allah is grateful and appreciative of our obedience is incorrect. Why? Because whether we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not, it doesn't matter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? When we worship Allah, it benefits us. It doesn't benefit Allah. Allah's treasures and Allah's greatness and Allah's power does not increase or decrease by us worshiping Allah, right? Instead, our greatness, our honor increases when we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and become the servant and slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the word Ash-Shakur or the name Ash-Shakur refers to that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful, that Allah appreciates what we do, and in exchange of our ibadah, of our obedience, Allah rewards us, right? Just like how the word At-Tawwab, right? This is another name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, At-Tawwab. That Allah is the one who accepts the tawbah of people, right? So likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who rewards people for their actions and gratitude. But now getting into how exactly, or how does being grateful and gratitude and thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala affect us? Right? What is the power behind gratitude? As we mentioned, that psychologists have recorded and documented very well the difference between people who are grateful and the people who aren't. Right? Just from a physical, worldly level, right? Just what we can see and what's tangible. If you take two people, one person is always grateful. And remember, as we mentioned, that in order to be grateful, a person needs to realize that there's something to be grateful about. And that eventually goes back to a person being positive. When a person is in a positive state of mind, when a person realizes and is able to see all the blessings, all the opportunities that they're surrounded by, and they're grateful for that, then obviously that person's quality of life will be much better, in contrast to a person who is blind to all the blessings that they have. They may live in a huge house, yet they're blind to it. They'll say, I have nothing. I live such a miserable life. They may have, the latest technology. They may have all the wealth in the world. They may have whatever they want. Yet if they are blinded from that, that person will be the most miserable person. That person will have no sort of quality of life. Why? Because there's nothing to enjoy. There's nothing to be thankful about. There's no blessings. That person is deluded. The person thinks, I have nothing to be grateful about. There's not a single ounce of goodness in my life. Whereas that person, you see, is much better off than so many other people. So that's how powerful gratitude and thankfulness is in a person's life. That even to the extent where atheists are advocates of being grateful. That they don't believe in Allah, right? Forget about Islam, forget about religion. If just from a secular point of view, a person begins to take account of all the blessings, or, an atheist is not going to say blessings, right? All the good things in their life. That in itself will completely change the quality of a person's life and the quality of their living. But now on a more spiritual basis, right, in relation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the scholars, they've mentioned that the person who has been given 4 things will never be deprived of 4 things. They say, مَنْ أُعْطِيَ أَرْبَعًا لَمْ يُمْنَعْ أَرْبًا. He says, the scholars, they mentioned that a person who has been blessed with 4 things will not be deprived of 4 things. What are those 4 things? They mention, مَنْ أُعْطِيَ الشُّكْرِ لَمْ يُمْنَعْ الْمَزِيدِ. They say that the person who has been blessed with the ability to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that person will never have any sort of decrease, right? In other words, what they're saying is when a person is grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will always have increase in that goodness. And then they go on to say, the second blessing is مَنْ أُعْطِيَ التَّوْبَةَ لَمْ يُمْنَعْ الْقَبُولِ. The person who has the ability or the blessing to continuously make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this person's tawbah will always be accepted. If you never make tawbah, it'll never be accepted, right? The third blessing is al-istikhara. The person who makes istikhara, meaning who makes dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for goodness in their decision, they will never be deprived of good. Meaning every decision they make will inshallah have goodness in it. And the last blessing is that the person who has been given the ability and the blessing to always seek consultation, that whenever they make a difficult decision, they consult with people, right? Mashwara. The person who has been given this blessing of consultation will never be deprived of as-sawab, of getting things right. When you consult with people, you save yourself from making mistakes, and you always take the best path possible. But this goes back to what we're talking about, that a person who is thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a person who is grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and expresses their gratitude, then inshallah they'll see an increase in everything good in their lives. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to understand this and be people of gratitude. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people who are grateful and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in times of ease and in times of difficulty. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be people who always are able to count our blessings and not blind from the blessings which we enjoy. Ameen. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن المجيد ونفعنا وإياكم بالآيات وذكر الحكيم أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته. Dear brothers and sisters, in summary, being grateful and having a positive state of mind is something which is necessary for a Muslim. It's an integral part of being a Muslim. A person cannot be a complete and true Muslim until they are not grateful and thankful for all the blessings which they've been given. With that being said, however, being in the state of thankfulness, being in the state of positivity is a challenge. Because as we know, life is not always easy. There's many difficulties that we experience in life. And during times of difficulty, it's very difficult, it's very hard to look past that difficulty, to look past that obstacle and take into account all the blessings a person has. If a person loses a loved one, right, their entire life just comes crashing down. When a person loses something they really love, or when something very unfortunate happens to that person, it's very difficult for a person to take their focus off of that difficulty and focus on something else, to focus on the positives of life. So to stay in this mindset of being thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to stay in this mindset of being positive and always being aware of the blessings which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, is a very difficult objective. It's not always possible. It's very challenging at times. It doesn't come easy. But it's our responsibility to create that sort of environment for us, right? Becoming a person who is grateful, becoming a person who is positive, becoming a person who can see and realize the blessings needs effort, needs time, needs work. And it's our responsibility to create that sort of environment for ourselves. If we're constantly staying around people who are ungrateful, if we're constantly with friends and family who are always complaining about the bad things in life, and they never take the time to realize all the blessings they have, then believe it or not, that's going to have an influence on us. So it's our responsibility to create that environment for ourselves. If ever we catch ourselves being ungrateful, if ever we catch ourselves feeling as though our life is such a miserable life, that we live such a miserable life, right? We need to tell ourselves it's time to create an environment of gratitude. Because no matter how miserable your life is, I can guarantee living in this country is 1,000 times better than living wherever else. Right? So there's nothing you can complain about. Right? Don't complain about if you don't have the latest phone, the latest computer, or if you have some sort of issue, whatever the case. The blessings that we enjoy and take for granted is much more than what we can realize. And until this blessing is not taken away from us, we can't fully comprehend how much we're blessed. So it's really up to us at the end of the day to create that environment for us. And yeah, people may not like to hear this, but that's the reality. That if you want to live a positive lifestyle, if you want to live a life where we can thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and realize the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, it's our responsibility. It's not our wife's responsibility. It's not our husband's responsibility to wake us up every morning and say, oh, you're such a good person, this is all the blessings you have. It's our responsibility. If we don't take the time to realize all the blessings which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, if we don't take the time to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the blessings He's given us, if we don't make the effort to disassociate ourselves from the people who are constantly complaining and constantly, negative, and put ourselves in an environment where people are always grateful and positive and thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the responsibility and then the failure is on us. It's not on anyone else. So we have to take responsibility of this. And we have to create an environment for ourselves where we're becoming thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes second nature. A few things that a person can do is, as we mentioned, that be careful of the people you stay with, right? If you're with negative people, that's the sort of influence you're going to have on us. And another piece of advice, stop watching the news, right? You listen to all these people that are like, do you think someone as successful as Elon Musk is reading through CNN all day? Right? This is one of the best. I came across this piece of advice a couple of years ago, and I take it very seriously. If there's something very crazy going on, you'll find out about it. Right? Whether you watch the news or not, you'll find out about it. But news in today's time has become sensationalism. Anything negative that happens, that's what garners people's attention. The news is never showing us positive things. It's always negative things that are putting us more stress and whatnot. So again, this is just advice that I've come across that's helped me, so I'm giving you that advice. I'm sharing that advice with you. Take it. If you don't, then no problem at all. The other thing is, take time to recall and write down the blessings which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. If we spend just 5 minutes every day in the morning to write down all the blessings which Allah has given us, that in itself will drastically change our day, right? And this is advice that coaches give. Coaches meaning like these life coaches and whatnot, these business coaches, right? That you pay like $600-700 for every month to coach you. What they tell you is you have to be in a positive state of mind. You always have to remind yourself of all the positive things that are in your life. And this is what we need to do. We need to remind ourselves of all the blessings which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. So with that being said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be grateful people. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to realize all the gifts and blessings which Allah has given us. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be associated and in the company of people that are always grateful and expressing their gratitude and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah ya'muru bil 'adli wal ihsan wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'idhukum la'allakum tadhakkarun fadhkurullaha yadhkurukum washkuruhu wa la takfurun. Aqimus salah.